Tally ho, no DQ Galaxy. Welcome to another edition of the NXT party. I am the General, Jerry Slaughter. With me, as always, the Wizard of No DQ, Stefan Osborne, and our special guest tonight, the Professor of No DQ, Noah Foster. We're about to cover episode number 11 of NXT UK. How you doing tonight, Noah?
Doing very well. How are you, gentlemen?
Oh, doing fantastic. What do you think of the show in general?
I thought both shows really delivered. We got a lot of character development. I feel we got at least a couple of stories built coming out of them. And overall, I really wasn't displeased or found one flat moment.
And you?
Well, this week of NXT UK, we got a men's UK championship match.
Oh, yes.
And we got a women's UK championship match. I mean, despite the fact that it's the first champion being crowned and it's the end of this short tournament, despite all of that, it's still two championship matches in a row over 2 hours. And this is one of those weeks where I'm actually glad that we got 2 hours of UK and we get to review 2 hours of UK.
Absolutely.
But we're here to talk about episode 11. The first hour, we get the main event of Pete Dunne defending the championship against who?
Jordan Devlin.
Jordan Devlin.
And
the one and only.
I can't wait to talk about that match. It delivered on so many different levels. It was frightening.
That match was insane.
Yes. But we will get to that bread and butter here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and start off with what we got. Our first ever women's tag match.
Yeah, first women's tag match that I've seen in a while on any NXT program.
That we've actually even covered.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had Xia Brookside and Millie McKenzie versus Charlie Morgan and Killer Kelly. Like, I had never seen I don't think I've seen Killer Kelly yet.
You have.
Oh.
And what's sad is that I feel like Killer Kelly should have been coming out there with a chip on her shoulder, because she had debuted already for NXT UK, but she was not included in the NXT UK Women's Championship Tournament. And that is a mouthful, by the way. And I'm so glad it rolled off the tongue.
Yeah.
Because it's been an okay tournament, but I expect the Women's Championship Finals match to be awesome, and we will get to that next episode.
Yes. So, match started off very technical, as we were talking about, with a bunch of wrist locks, like wear down holds and whatnot, and very just by the book. Charlie Morgan, like, I didn't really expect much out of her because I'd never seen her. That's how it usually goes. It's like, okay, I don't know who you are, do something cool. And all she really did for a first part of the match was she kept on doing this weird kip-up action, like with every wrist lock that she was in, and she finally turned it around into a reverse wrist lock. So that's the only thing that really stood out with me, because even then at the beginning of the match I was like, Charlie Morgan's gonna get pinned.
Well, I wasn't entirely impressed or engaged with the first half or maybe even 2/3 of this match, because I thought the story should have been, like I said, the chip on the shoulder of Killer Kelly coming into the match against the two girls that got into the tournament that had yet to debut in NXT UK. Their debut matches were in the tournament, and the only reason they were in there is because it's one of them stories, the 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You know, there's two of them, and now they're on a tag team, and she should have been the first one in the match, just trying to destroy these two because they took her spot. Or one of them took her spot. Or both of them, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you see that.
Because, I mean, well, this was the debut of Morgan, but she could have debuted in the tournament, but she did not.
No.
So there was a hell of a grudge or a vengeful story that they could have told, but they didn't. I didn't start getting engaged until I saw the hot tag come in for, who was it?
Millie McKenzie.
Millie McKenzie.
Yeah, for Xia. Xia Brookside. She gets the hot tag from Millie, and then she does like this chin buster into a face buster. She does a Hurricane Rana, and then a Meteora into the corner, I believe. I mean, she does all these moves in a row, and I was impressed from there. And then at the end, when we get Millie come in with the spear, that was she did an illegal spear, and then Xia gets the pin.
Yeah.
But you called the person taking the pinfall.
I automatically called Charlie Morgan getting the getting rolled up. And sure enough, she got the jackknife roll up on her, and that was
It was a
it.
beautiful jackknife. What did you think about this, Noah?
I thought it was okay. Charlie Morgan actually has been on NXT UK, not the series, but before. She was on like the special, and she faced Killer Kelly, which I thought was really interesting because during that match she was a face. So
Yes.
now you have both Killer Kelly, Charlie Morgan as heels.
Yeah.
Overall, if you're going to go with a distraction finish, I would consider the heels winning off that, but that's not what we got. We got the faces winning off it. And as far as the hot tags, I was thinking of the first one after Zaya got Million, because everybody was just chanting for Millie, Suplex City, and all that stuff. We only got one suplex out of her. But overall, I thought it was an okay match, and if nothing else, we got some character development. But I thought it's really interesting right now that two of the youngest women probably in all of WWE are right now one of the hottest things going, and they got the hot win.
Yeah, that's sure.
I don't know if they're one of the hottest things going. They're probably the cutest tag team in NXT UK. That's
At
probably.
least that.
I don't know. The Coffee Brothers are pretty dreamy.
They got the win though. I think they could have told a story in this match and they didn't. And like you said about Millie, like the single suplex, I think she only did 1 or 2 suplexes in her previous match. And I was like, why do they call her Suplex Millie? And she like doesn't really deliver a lot of suplexes.
The ones she does deliver though are damn impressive. Is the thing. So
I guess.
Yeah.
I
Kelly
guess.
delivered a pretty good suplex.
I wasn't really
too, but
impressed
didn't
by
see
her.
that in this match.
She impressed me with the spear. That was about it.
yeah.
This was an okay match to me.
It was a good kickoff, is what it was. Like it was a good showcase for both of them or both teams, and it was just a good kickoff for tonight. So, then we follow that matchup with Ashton Smith versus Eddie Dennis. Something that's been building up for a little bit now.
2 or 3 episodes maybe.
Yeah, just pretty much the whole. Ashton Smith is coming in. He's red hot. He's new. Eddie Dennis been wrestling for 10 years.
Well, to be fair, most everybody in NXT UK is coming in hot and new. Like,
yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast right now. We're only
Yeah,
11
that's
episodes
okay.
in, so
Well, that's what I also liked about like these episodes that we had this time are we didn't really see any squash matches or anything like that. We finally started seeing at least semi-established talent on the show
yeah.
versus semi-established talent. So now that we're actually going to start developing win-loss records versus just win, and that's all we're seeing.
I think the only mark that Ashton Smith has against him at this point is when he got attacked before his match and couldn't compete. Otherwise, he's undefeated.
Yeah.
Like many of the faces on NXT UK right now, he's undefeated.
But
But so is the heel Eddie Dennis.
yes.
He is also undefeated. So, Noah, who did you think was going to win this match?
Oh, there was no doubt in my mind it had to be Eddie Dennis. When you're thinking about the events coming up, especially with the announcement of NXT TakeOver UK, you got to build up some viable opponents for Pete Dunne. You don't want to repeat. At this point, Eddie Dennis has got to be the most viable. How you build it up? You bring in this unstoppable juggernaut of a force, keep him undefeated, and give him a marquee win, which I believe he achieved.
Yeah.
Now, do you think he's more viable than Zach Gibson, or do you think Zach Gibson is moving on to the tag division?
I have to imagine Zach Gibson's moving on to the tag division at this point because he's already had 2 opportunities. He's given us his best in both, but he just has not gotten the job done.
Well, now I feel like for us, he hasn't been given an opportunity yet because we did not watch any of the tournaments and the specials, the ones that you talked about. In fact, I think everybody we've had on has watched them and been way more knowledgeable about the actual debuts of these people.
They're like, actually.
But I think there are many people out there that are like us that haven't started watching NXT UK until the weekly show started after NXT. And so I think definitely me and him need to go back and watch those tournaments. But I think Zach Gibson is a very credible challenger in the heel department for the NXT UK Championship.
Completely agree.
He's always going to be like in that championship picture, but right now I think he's actually shifted his like ideas or to any kind of goal at this point.
Well, we've both been into the idea of Eddie Dennis vying for the championship, but I think we both wanted to see him go through a few feuds first, at least Mandrews,
Yes.
before he gets to Pete
Yes.
Dunne.
based on their past history, I completely agree on Mandrews. Another name that possibly I've been thinking about is one we haven't really seen for a while, Travis Banks.
I was about to say, we haven't gotten to see him at all, I don't think.
Well, we've seen him a few times. Remember, he's the man with Sasha Banks' last name.
Yeah, he got attacked before a match, and then...
Well, we've seen him.
Yeah.
But this match was all right. I mean, I get pumped about the match when Eddie Dennis comes out because his music makes you feel like you're a character in a horror movie that's being stalked by the killer.
Yes.
It's that background horror movie music, and I was pumped for Eddie Dennis. He is a big, tall, lanky sumbitch, and he's imposing looking.
And to talk about like the chips that you're talking about, like on the last match, the chip on his shoulder is just massive.
You've been talking about this bag of chips on his shoulder since the promos. The 3 weeks of promos that we got for him before his actual debut. He's like, man, this guy's going to have a chip on his shoulder coming out.
Yeah, he's got like a can of Pringles. He is the chip he is the chip aisle is what he is.
He's got shades of Aaron Rexford / Damian Sandowic's character too, being the whole type of intellectual type of individual, but also being very physical. I guess the biggest difference between them, he doesn't wear bright pink tights.
Pretty much.
Right. So I was impressed with the match. Dennis did this swinging Uranagi on the outside. He drops Smith on the apron, and that was just brutal looking.
Yeah. And then, of course, you had the follow-up finish with the Severn Bridge, which was the top turnbuckle powerbomb. Shades of the Razor Edge.
Yeah,
and then the neck stop driver.
I knew something was coming because Dennis is up on the top rope, and he's in the position like he's going to jump off the middle rope, where his feet are on the inside. And then Smith goes up top like he's going to do a superplex, but I'm like, you can't do a superplex from there because his feet are on the inside, not the outside. Like, you gotta do the the momentary drop of kayfabe to move the feet on the outside and then climb up. And so I'm like,
I'm gonna try and suplex you.
So Dennis slips through, and he grabs him for the what looks like a razor's edge, but he drops him for the buckle bomb. That's his 7th bridge or whatever.
Yeah, Severn Bridge. It's really weird. I thought it was 7 at first, like Trent 7. But it's with an R, so Severn.
Yeah, the Severn Bridge, and then follows that into the seamlessly, as he pointed out.
It was seamless
into the next stop driver.
He fell. Ashton fell like right into it, and I thought that was just a beautiful finish to that match. So.
Well, and in the end, Ashton Smith, he's still over because what's the Onion still doing?
Well, he still looked good in this match. He does this springboard drop kick into a suicide dive over the top rope. And then he comes off the top rope with a leg lariat that's like a it's like a Rough Rider, but it's off the top rope.
Yeah, it's like a Rough Rider.
Yeah.
And that was a very near pinfall. I didn't think he was going to get the win because that's not his finishing move. But
the leg lariat looked cool to me, but it was also the fact that like Eddie Dennis kind of like jumped into it as well, because like the amount of impact that like when it went into it, you can see like. It made it more impactful looking was the fact that Eddie Dennis actually did manage to, leave his feet for it and just came down like with it super hard. So,
so he made Smith look clumsy for most of this match.
Yes,
I think, especially the first half. At least everything he did just looked clumsy or it looked half-assed.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he was having a bad night or if he legit isn't just isn't up to the same par as Eddie Dennis. But yeah, so that match was all right. It made both of them look okay, but Dennis definitely looks just menacing, man.
Yes.
But that's how you want to portray him.
Yeah, just a menacing heel. He is definitely the tallest guy in NXT UK. I don't know if that means much. What is he? 6'5"?
Yeah,
maybe
5, I believe.
So
he's pretty much my height. He's just lanky.
Well, we go from here into a video recap, real brief, but it's basically the match last week, the tag team match, where we had Saxon Huxley and we had Joseph Connors, versus, in this case, which I don't think we saw these two on the show, but it was Mandrews and Flash Morgan Webster. And this was just a show at the end where Connors turns on Huxley and beats him down. And it's prepping us for the next match, which is going to be Saxon Huxley versus Joseph Connors in a grudge match.
I thought we were they're gonna build up more to it, but they went right into it and
right to the match, right to the blow off, man.
And I'll say it right now. This was actually a pretty, not really to say emotional match, but you kind of get the vibe that these two just do not like each other whatsoever. It was like a slugfest, pretty much. That's
it
what
literally was nothing but fists being thrown left and right.
And here's the thing: in the way that I said that. The clumsiness out of Smith in the previous match, and I looked at that as a bad thing.
Yeah.
In this match, their clubbing blows were kind of clumsy looking, but in a way that suggests that they're just that angry.
Yes.
And I could see the acting in their physicality of them portraying being pissed the fuck off at each other. So, I actually really enjoyed this match. To me, this was. I'm not going to rate it because we rate the main event, but this was far beyond middle of the road. It's more than they needed for a 1-week feud, and if this is the blow off, I'm cool with this match. It was a really good match, had an ending that made sense, and they can both move on from here, or they can continue this for a while and end up with a really long match at the previously mentioned NXT UK pay-per-view that we're going to get pretty soon. By the way, we will be covering that. Probably.
Cool.
We do a lot of videos.
Yes, we do.
If there's an
NXT by the channel.
If there's an NXT pay-per-view that weekend, we're going to be busy as fuck.
Yes.
So, but if we cover the NXT pay-per-view for the UK brand, I think we should do it the same way. NXT party, have a third person on here. If you're available, we'll invite you first, since you're here for the announcement and the reveal.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
But let's get back to this match, because Saxon looked great in as opposed to the tag team matches where he looked like he was the dead weight.
Yeah, I think that was the whole goal for this match, was to show that he wasn't exactly just there for decoration, or he just wasn't the weak link of the team. That he actually had decent moveset, that he had the physicality, and that he actually was could be seen as a dominant force if worst case scenario.
Well, at the very least, he's at the top of the jobber squad.
Oh, yes.
Because he looked good, but there wasn't really anything of note. What'd you see out of Saxon Huxley here? Because we'll get to Connors in a minute. He's really the news of the match.
Yes.
But let's look at Huxley for a moment. Because like I said, go ahead.
What I saw of it, you had an over-the-back suplex spot. There was a lot of back and forth in this. Again, you had fist flying, you had over-the-back suplex, you had clotheslines. You, of course, had a rest stop, which, of course, built crowd heat for who was trying to be portrayed as the heel in this match, Joseph Connors.
Yeah.
We had more shots, then we had clothesline, another near fall, a belly to back, and then you had that ending sequence where he's like, stay down! Huxley doesn't stay down, and he executed a couple of moves, started with a spine buster, got a near fall. But what finished it off after that, after Huxley stood for stay down? Some trash talking and a DDT.
Well, that don't look down is just a beautiful, beautiful move, I think. Just the, what was it? Almost like a cradle.
Connors is going to do for the cradle.
Kind of like a packaged DDT, because he drops him off the side of his body straight into the mat head first.
Yeah, I feel like Connors is going to be to the cradle maybe what Roderick Strong is to the backbreaker.
Yes.
He's going to be able to do so many moves out of the cradle, because he does, it was a cradle Uranagi sit-out bomb.
Yeah.
So he's got him in the cradle, but he's got him across from armpit to shoulder. Like a Uranagi, but he's got him up in the cradle, and then he drops him forward into a sit-out bomb. And I'm like, whoa! I thought that should have been the pinfall, but no. But
it wasn't. It was a near fall, though.
Yeah, his finisher is a cradle flatliner.
Yeah.
So if he works in the cradle DDT, which he can now because Paige is retired.
Yeah.
He can do the rampage. There's probably at least a half a dozen other moves that you can do out of a cradle position. But yeah, he picks up the guy, Saxon Huxley, he looks bigger. I don't know if he is bigger, but he looks bigger, and he definitely looks more cut. But Connors was the standout in this match to me. And yeah, he wins, deservingly so. I think he's getting some good heel heat here. Where do you think he goes from here?
That's actually hard to tell because like now he's not doing the whole tag team thing. He's doing a singles thing, but I don't think he's up to Pete Dunbar yet. I don't think he's ready to face the champion. And there's really no secondary belt, so now he's just kind of floating there. He's awesome, but I'm not sure who they put him in a feud with at this point, or like who would be a next good opponent for him.
I say maybe in about a year and a half's time at the latest, because you just had a brand new women's champion. You still have to debut the tag team championships. In a year to a year and a half's time, bring back the European Championship and put it on the UK brand.
There you go.
I love that.
That'd be something different right there.
Then you have a mid-card championship. You've got the North America Championship on regular NXT. It's weird to call it NXT.
It would actually.
It
would actually be proper for Triple H to bring that over because I believe he was European champion at one point. Like one.
He was.
Before.
Yes, it was basically gifted to him. In a finger poke of doom style.
Match.
It was a lot more entertaining than the finger poke of doom. I suggest going back and watching that match between him and Shawn Michaels for the the European Championship. So back to NXT UK. This was basically right before the main event because we finally get video packages.
We love video packages here.
Everybody gets video packages unless it's going to be an episode where there's going to be a really important video package.
Yes.
And in this case, there was two because they're hyping up the match for next episode between Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm for the brand new Women's Championship.
Yes.
So they're going to actually do two separate video packages, one for each superstar, and they were great. That's all I'm going to say about them. Anything you want to say about them, Noah, before we get to the main event?
I think you pretty much nailed it. I mean, one was about an emotional journey, the one that everybody wants to win. The other one is this aggressive, unstoppable, could care less, destructive force, both of which are going for the same goal, the title. Simple as that.
Rhea Ripley was totally giving off a Drago vibe. It's like, if she dies, she dies. And I loved it.
She looks so legit.
Yeah.
And I'm slowly falling in love with Rhea Ripley. She looks and has the demeanor of just a badass, and not the kind of badass where she has to go out and like talk a bunch of trash. She doesn't need to talk. She just looks like she's pissed off and she's going to go out there and beat you up.
Yep.
I mean, this all stems back to her performance at the first Mae Young Classic. I mean, she was happy, she was bubbly, she was glad that they chanted, but she lost. What did she do? She reinvented herself. Now look at her now.
Yeah, and they made that evident in one of the video packages that we got several weeks ago on NXT UK. You know, they played up her turn from face to heel. I guess it was on the, I don't know if it was on the indie scene or if she was working with NXT or WWE, and I don't know. I don't know where she did it. I guess it was on the indie scene, but she slowly turned heel.
Yeah.
And they actually recapped that, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, I totally admit it. I'm falling in love with Rhea Ripley. She is just fucking awesome. But we will get to that next episode. The main event for this night, and I had 2 lines to write notes and ended up writing almost a page for this match.
Yes.
This match was
fucking
phenomenal. But I have grown to expect nothing less out of Pete Dunne.
Oh yeah. Well, with Pete Dunne, any match I've seen him in has been super impressive. He doesn't really show me a lot of anything new, but the stuff that he does show me is usually so aggressive and so ruthless and so just cringeworthy that I can't take my eye off the screen. And then there's those little mannerisms like the shrug, But I knew going into this match it was going to be something special because he was going against Jordan Devlin. And like, granted, you haven't really been much of a fan of him since we started, but like, I knew this was going to be the way to showcase him in his best form and everything, and he delivered.
Yeah, he did it
tenfold, I want to say, because he was all over the place in this match, and God, Noah, Save me here.
Describe this match because he is speechless.
You are 100% correct. I mean, again, I look at the other promotions where these guys come from, Jordan Devlin included. He faced somebody that's soon to become part of the NXT UK brand, Walter, in a Wrestle Walmart match that went over 20 minutes. I think this match went probably longer, but yeah, there were so many spots, and this is Pete Dunne's third title defense on the NXT UK brand
We were
alone.
talking about that ourselves.
This has to be his best outing just for the brand alone.
Episodes
but there were so many spots here and so many good near falls. I mean, we could probably ramble about this for the next 15 minutes. I mean, you think about how it started out, a little bit of mind games, and then after a short counter and some forearm strikes, it looked like Pete Dunne hurt his wrist or arm, and he sold that the entire match. And Devlin obviously looked at that the whole match and focused on that. I feel like the only thing that really got to me is how quick of a snap ending it was.
I was about to say, like, there's so much crazy build-up in it and so much work on Pete Dunne's back. Like, I think that was I called it the backstory.
Well, I think the reason the ending was so quick, or it seemed, was because people aren't used to Pete Dunne using the triangle as a finisher like that.
Yeah.
And so the quickness of how he executes, and we'll get to that. But I'm just saying, we've only seen him do this one other time. Yeah. And I think they're making this his new finisher because it just, or just his new submission finisher. Or something.
I say finisher because he's got bitter end for the pinfall, which he's won most of his matches with.
Yeah, but bitter end has become one of those moves where it's a 50-50 shot whether it's a 3 count or not.
Yeah.
People kick out of the bitter end about half the time at this point because he only really needs to break it out during championship matches, and championship matches are where you have all the fucking near falls where everybody kicks out everybody's finisher.
Yeah.
And you gotta hit your finisher 3 times in a fucking row in order to get a goddamn pinfall. So... All right, well, I want to break down this match because I have a page worth of notes, and I want to get through all of these notes because some of these moves were fucking incredible.
Yes.
So if you guys don't want to hear me rattle on a page worth of notes, skip forward a couple of minutes. So there's a spot. Devlin gets a rope break and a forearm smash out of nowhere, and then Dunne goes to springboard off the turnbuckle, and Devlin catches him, pushes him into the turnbuckle, chest into the turnbuckle, and hits a backstabber for a near fall.
Yes. Like
never seen like half of this that was done.
Was it like the second turnbuckle?
Yeah.
It was the second turnbuckle.
Seated on the second
and one of the first big pops from Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah, he's seated on the second turnbuckle. And then we've got a spot where Devlin, he does a Uranagi into the standing moonsault, but it kind of fudged that up. He got him on the legs. That was one of the few moves that I remember of his that he actually does every match.
Yeah.
Because all the wrestlers have those moves they do every match.
Yeah, they're signatures.
Then you've got the trading off of forearms, just like Dunne is just standing there no-selling, absorbing these forearms from Devlin.
Yes.
And then just turns around and clocks Devlin with a forearm. I mean, this match started off with Devlin like doing the typical Dunne thing, just catching him off guard with that fucking forearm.
That blind forearm was just brilliant.
Dropped him like a redwood, Nigel McGuinness words, and he was not lying.
And then we have Dunne taking an X-Plex into an armbar. And if you can just imagine the schematics of taking an X-Plex into an armbar, and he does it seamlessly. And he and I both agree, we kind of want to start this new thing on NXT Party, where we have the spot of the night. And this would be the spot of the night, because I've never seen this move, and it looks so natural and fluid. And it should not have been, because it was complex and contrived.
Yes.
It felt like one of those crazy combo moves you try to achieve in a fighting video game like Mortal Kombat.
That's how it was to me.
He hit a new sequence and suddenly that happened. It's like a creative move in WWE, what was it, 2K11, 12, and 13, something like that.
I think that's still a thing now, but yeah, I think that's
they have creative move back? Shit. I bought the 3 games from 2K that were creative move. Or was it? It's not 2K. Whatever it was. Anyway, I think it was 2K. 2K were the ones that did it right. Those games were fun.
Yeah, right. Forgot they stopped that at 2010. But yeah, continue.
So then we have Devlin with a face wash into the corner onto Dunne, and that's where he pulls him up into this fucking backbreaker. It's like a deadlift.
No, that was a backdrop driver.
Yeah, backdrop driver.
Driver.
He pulls him up and catches him, and then drives him with a backdrop.
There's no hesitation whatsoever. Those are my favorite types of like suplexes or any kind of move like that when it's all looks so natural and like just there's no hesitation involved. There's really no thought. It was just a whole bunch of trust at this point.
So then
it
we
looked
see
like it still hurt as hell.
Yes.
Then we see the first of a wicked trifecta of Spanish flies from Jordan Devlin.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Dunn comes running in at him, and he basically blocks whatever Dunn was running to do into a Spanish fly, and I believe that was a near fall.
Yep.
And then out on the outside, Devlin's about to get his hand stomped by Dunn, and he moves and he kicks Dunn's leg out from under him. He comes down, smacks the steps right with his face. So then Devlin picks him up onto the steps and does a Spanish fly onto the fucking outside from there.
Yeah.
And that was fucking wicked.
Freaking nice.
Yeah, I went off. I've got like 7 exclamation points at the end of this. That makes them both. They almost got counted out here. It was almost a double count out. They were both in at 10. The ref could have probably counted Devlin out.
That's 9-9 That would have been a disaster. That match ended like that.
Well, it was one of those situations where I kind of wish that match was on NXT and Morrow was calling it because he would have gone just ape shit for that spot right there.
Well,
I'm not gonna lie, I bet Mamma Mia.
At some point, I think it was in this crowd, the crowd started chanting Mamma Mia, and I'm like, dude, they know that the commentary team for NXT UK is crap.
Yes.
With Vic Joseph and Nigel McGuinness. I just don't think they are a good pair as a duo. Maybe with a third person to kind of bounce off of a little bit. But Vic Joseph is just terrible. I'm just going to say it now. He's just terrible.
Vic Joseph is not Maranello, but at least he's not Michael Cole.
Well, the crowd decided to do Mauro Ranello for Vic Joseph, and they started chanting Mamma Mia. I think at some point in this match, we did watch 2 hours here.
Yes.
And a lot of really good matches, so...
There are a bunch of good chants during this match, too.
Well, after they get back in the ring at 9 9/8, or not 9/8, 9/10.
9/10, yeah.
They go to get up, and Dunn he does a double hand stomp onto Devlin and goes to hit the bitter end, but Devlin counters that and ends up doing this reverse Hurricane Rana fucking pile driver for a near fall.
Yep.
That was wicked looking. I knew he wasn't going to get a pinfall off of it, but it looked brutal as hell. And then he goes for a spring boot moonsault, but Dunn counters it with a forearm and then hits the bitter end, but his back's so fucked up that he can't get the cover.
He tries to roll over, but
by the time he goes to go for the cover with one arm, Devlin starts rolling.
Devlin moves out of the way.
And so Devlin ends up running Dunn into the post out on the apron and does a Spanish fly off the top fucking rope into the ring.
I didn't
That's the
expect.
trifecta.
I didn't expect that to happen. Actually,
I figured by the third one, you went to the well too many times, it's going to get countered, right?
Yeah, but no, and he nailed all of it. And it was like one of those moments where everything just kind of went into slow mo. Even when they did the slow motion replay of it, I'm like, see, that's how I saw it in my head.
So
they got another great near fall, and the crowd just popped.
Yeah, they thought it was over, and I actually at this point I thought it was over too. Except I knew because of NXT Takeover that Pete Dunne still had the belt.
Yeah.
So I figured he wasn't going to lose here, but it's
well,
still.
I mean, I don't look at spoilers, but there was no way I saw Dunne losing the belt, especially since this Takeover announcement. Another great thing that came out after this was the crowd chanted, "This is wrestling." I love that.
Yeah. So they both get up from this Spanish fly off the top rope, and Dunn pretty much, this is where the match devolves. This is like the breakdown, like in a rock or a metal song, the breakdown. Dunn puts up the dukes. He wants, let's just go down to fisticuffs. And Devlin ends up headbutting him, and they both go down.
That headbutt was just vicious.
God, you could hear it off the roof.
Nobody misses a headbutt.
And then Devlin picks him up. He picks up Dunn. He takes his mouthpiece out, and while Dunn's on his knees, he super kicks him, and we get another of those near falls.
Yes.
That was nuts. And then he goes for a top rope moonsault, and Dunn counters that into a triangle.
That's something I also said. Is the fact that you never try to moonsault or go off the top rope with a laying down Pete Dunne, because chances are he's going to turn into a triangle hold, or he's gonna find a way of fucking up your arm just from laying on his back.
Well, this is the match. I mean, Devlin rolls to the. I guess he gets a roll and a half out of it towards the ropes. He gets 2 fingers gently on the rope, and Dunne just rolls him back over, and he gets.
Wishbones his fingers and immediate tap out.
Yeah, he gets the ground and pound position. He's on top, and he pulls his arm up. He does the wishbone, and then he torques that arm around. And as soon as he puts the wrist back, Devlin starts tapping like crazy, like, get this motherfucker off me, that hurts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like a successful title defense from Pete Dunne. A beautiful one at that. I think this is like his, like, granted, his one against, what was it, Zach Gibson? He's done one against.
Well,
he's done one against
that was during the tournament.
He's done one against Danny Burch.
Oh, it was
Dar and Burch before this
Burch
on NXT.
Yeah, they were there too on NXT UK.
So, arguably, probably the best title defense I think he's done.
It was definitely the most engaging from start to finish. The one with Noam Dar I didn't get into until about halfway through the match.
Yeah.
The last one with, I can't even...
Burch.
It was the best I've ever seen Burch look. And someone called me out on this. They said, I think it was on the video from yesterday, they said that Burch actually had a really good match with Oni Lorcan against the Undisputed Era at NXT TakeOver Chicago 2. And I reminded him that I was there live. Now, maybe there's a difference between watching it on TV and hearing Mauro Ranallo, and maybe that helped the match. But watching it live, I was not impressed by Danny Burch. I was not impressed by Oni Lorcan. I was impressed by the Undisputed Era. Even though that match in particular was structured around making Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch look better by comparison, which was weird. Anyway, that's way off topic.
Yes.
That is way off topic.
I agree.
But yeah, to me, his title defense against Danny Burch was forgettable. I mean, it was the best I saw Danny Burch look, but I can't even really remember any of the spots in that match. This match was engaging from beginning to end. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's what I've liked about his title defenses so far, because he's actually faced 3 extremely different athletes. So we've reached the end, and now it's time to rate the main event, and we do that with our 5 spots of T rating system.
Yes, our 5 spots of NXT.
So it's 5 spots of NXT. I keep on forgetting to put the NX part. But Noah, you're our guest for the evening. So what would you rank this match?
Between the story told, the selling of injuries, the physicality, and just the overall action and the passionate involvement between the fans and the announcers, and I legitimately thought Jordan Devlin had a couple of times. There was only one false spot that kind of fell flat for me, and I kind of wish the finish went a little longer. It's 4.5 out of 5 for me.
That's actually a pretty fair rating. What do you think, Stefan?
I'm going to give it... Well, I was thinking about giving it a 4.75. Honestly, because, like, to me, it was basically an almost perfect match, like I believe you have said. And it wasn't perfect, but it was almost perfect. 4.75 seemed about right, but when you said 4.5, I'm like, yeah, I mean, 4.75 kind of seems a little legit. You know what? I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to call this 4.75. Like I said, I was engaged from the beginning to the end. Even you called it, Noah. You said the story they told. I'm a big fan of stories. Anybody that watches our NXT reviews knows I love a story told in the ring, because that is the most difficult place to tell a story. Anybody can get on a mic and become good at being genuine and saying stuff and telling a story and blah, blah, blah. But when you can get into a ring and physically tell a story without words and with emotions even if you just consider the emotions, the pain that you can see in their faces, especially when Pete Dunne does half of the shit that he does.
Yes.
I really love this match. I'm gonna go with 4.75.
All right, I'm gonna say 4.5 as well, because yeah, it was already awesome from top to finish, but at the same time, and I was already fully engaged into the match. But then, what really sold me on the match, which is something a little different from the previous NXT UK shows, the fans. The fans really sold me on the match, because they just blew up from like the beginning of the match, and they didn't stop. and the excitement with them only got bigger and bigger. And with that, I was just with them too. I'm like, yeah, fight forever, you know. And
Adam McGinnis shared the same mentality, really.
yeah, so for just everything you guys said, the brutality of the match, the physicality of the match, the story of the match, everything was perfect. This was almost takeover worthy, I would think.
This match was takeover worthy.
Yes, we get it just on weekly television, you know. So
for $9.99 a month for the WWE Network, but weekly television anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the audience, like you said, from the very beginning, we noticed that this was the biggest pop that we have heard from this crowd, specifically this arena. Because, breaking kayfabe a little bit here, the last 3 episodes or 3 weeks of WWE NXT UK television have been this audience. And so, this is the loudest I've heard this crowd for anybody when Pete Dunne came out. They popped big.
Yeah.
And so, they were into this match from the beginning. They were cheering for Pete Dunne from stem to stern, beginning to end. And he delivered, and with that shrug. That fucking shrug, just like, whatever, it's what I do, man.
It's like, it was just a match.
Yeah, I'm defending this fucking title, man. And, yeah, I really, 4 3/4, and, I won't come down. That was really a takeover worthy match. That was awesome.
Tally ho, no DQ Galaxy. It is I, the Journal, Jerry Slaughter. With me, as always, the Wizard of No DQ, Stefan Osborne, and our very special guest, the Professor Noah Foster. And we're here for NXT number 12, or NXT UK number 12.
Yes.
And as promised to us naturally, the finals for the vacant women's title. We finally get that.
Brand new, the inaugural.
We gave a quick video recap at the beginning, and just your usual run-of-the-mill recap, and goes in. From there, we go into our first match.
Well, from there we go into the intro. They actually put this video recap before the music and the clips intro. The weekly intro.
I don't want to BS our audience. We skipped the recap this time.
We just assume it was as good as all the other NXT video packages were, but I fast forwarded through this because honestly, we watched all of those matches, so it's a video package. Like whatever. So
and after the ones we saw this past week on NXT UK number 11, we already got our backstory. We got everything established. We're good. So and then you just stopped at the actual title sequence and we actually watched that. So
yeah. Well, the fun part of this is we basically went from the championship match with Pete Dunne and Devlin into this match, which we were suddenly excited about because we realized we were going to get that Sid Scala match that we were salivating over.
Yes.
Because we are looking for Sid Scala's first win.
Yes.
We want to be sucker marks for this company, this NXT UK, and get sucked into this storyline where Sid Scala wants his first win, and we want him to get his first win because we are so sick and tired of all of these jobbers being jobbers every week and all of the winners being winners every week.
Yeah, we are like,
give jobbers a chance.
Yes, hashtag give jobbers a chance. Thank you, Noah. New hashtag.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really like that one.
Sponsored by No DQ and NXT Party.
So, we get Joe Coffey coming out to the ring. He's ready. He's pumped. He even tells the other guys to hang back. Wolfgang and Pete.
Well, no, his brother Mark.
Oh, Mark. I always want to call him Pete. But yeah, they get told to hang back, and he goes out to the ring, does his poses and whatnot, and then Sid Scala appears on stage in a very sharp suit.
Yeah, very sharp suit, but a suit, and obviously not wrestling gear, and I don't think he's about to do a strip tease and get in the ring and get out of those clothes so that he's in ring clothes. Obviously, he's not wrestling. Were you disappointed, Noah? I was disappointed.
A little bit. I mean, Sid Scala is one of those talents I've recently come to learn about, and I kind of grown attached to. And you're right, I would like to see him win as well. It'd be like a 1, 2, 3 kid moment.
The Barry Horowitz, as I call it. The Barry Horowitz is always like really huge. Horowitz wins.
Yeah, I can only imagine the major pop that would get. So yeah, I was a little sad, but I I was kind of happy with the replacement, considering what's happened recently.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a, how you say, bait and switch.
Yeah, a bait and switch.
No pun intended, I'm sure.
Oh, none at all.
So Sid Scala is out there in a suit with a microphone because he is not cleared to wrestle medically. And I don't remember any official injury that he sustained other than the fact that he got beat up a lot. And maybe in the NXT UK universe, when you get beaten 3 times, it actually affects your health. So, like, it's like a video game. You get beat 3 times, and it takes a lump of your health, and you got to go, like, get refreshed or something. I don't know. He's injured.
Yeah, I guess mentally, yeah.
So he's not going to wrestle, but Tyler Bate is.
Yep, Tyler Bate appears, and he's pissed, naturally, because the Coffees and Wolfgang have been, like, ganging up on him and Trent Seven, and who else did they knock out that last week?
Trent Seven was last week with that piece of stuff in the back. Piece of
with the staging equipment.
The equipment box, that's what it is.
So there's no posing, there's no dancing or anything out of Tyler Bate this time. He goes right into a ring and launches right at Coffee with punches, and it's a very another slugfest is what we get at the beginning of this match instead of like a bunch of technical
very hot
stuff.
Start.
Yes.
Yeah, just seriously, just both of them punching each other really hard. Like, it looked like it was an MMA fight or some shit, or a boxing match.
Mm-hmm.
Legit looked for at least a half a minute or a minute. They were just trading punches. And immediately, I started forgetting this match. Yeah. This match, on any other week, and I don't say any other episode or any other show, any other week, this match could main event. Like, this would be a good match. This week, coming right off of that main event from the last episode, this is where I should have been able to see Sid Scala, because I probably would have actually been invested in that match. Probably wouldn't have been as long as this one, but I would have been invested in that match. This one, not so much.
It's for me in general. Like I said, I was already kind of disappointed in the fact that we weren't going to see Sid in his match, win or lose, because Sid is just a great jobber in general, but if he were to get that win, like with assistance from maybe Trent and whoever else for and just to get that win would have been awesome. But right after I saw he was facing Tyler Bate, I'm not on the Mustache Mountain train with a lot of people. Like, Graham may haven't seen enough of their matches, but they really don't impress me too much. So,
well, what disheartened me more about this was it ended up being just a storyline to get all of British Strong Style in the ring together against the Coffee Brothers and Wolfgang.
Yeah, because shortly after, somewhere in between the match, Wolfgang and the other aforementioned Coffee brother,
Mark Coffee. They finally make it out to the ring because, of course, Joe Coffey could have probably beaten Scala by himself with no help, but they showed that they had no confidence in him beating Tyler Bate on his own without help. And they came out, and if I was Joe Coffey, I would have been offended. I'd have been like, really? You got to come out here because you think I need your help? But in reality, I think he ended up needing their help. Trent Seven comes out, bum leg and all. Yeah, he comes out to try and even the numbers. I don't know. Maybe that's like 1.5 versus 3. It's not really even. But eventually, this all breaks down. Mark Coffey and Wolfgang get in the ring. They cause the disqualification. Trent Seven gets in the ring, but you've got 3-on-2. The Mustache Mountain gets beat down, but then Pete Dunne comes out, and the crowd again goes nuts.
Yep. They just went apeshit to see all of British Strong Style back together in a ring together. That's pretty much going to make for another, main event coming here soon, hopefully, with those 3 versus British Strong Style. But same time, there's also still trying to build this whole tag team thing, and they got the 2 possible, main contenders for it, looks like, in triple 6-man tags instead of tag matches. So I'm not sure what they're doing. They're all over the place with these tag matches.
Well, maybe they're trying to build some tag teams outside of facing Mustache Mountain before they can put together a tournament or a mini tournament or something to put Mustache Mountain in. But until then, they're occupying them with this 3-on-3 nonsense. Same thing with the Coffee Brothers. They're probably going to be the dominant heel tag team. It just makes sense. But for the meantime, you push Joe as a single star a little bit. That makes him more credible.
But
and he looked good. He hits this pop-up power slam that is just beautiful looking.
Well, what stood out with me for Joe Coffey was the double underhook swing they did, like into the butterfly suplex.
That he's done every match.
Yeah, but
it blew me away the first time. Now I'm just like, okay, it's like the Cesaro swing. When the crowd gets behind it, it's fun.
Yeah.
But he's a heel, so the crowd's not behind it.
But they said they were buying that airplane spin, though.
I'm sorry to shit on your parade, dude. It was a fun move the first time. I totally agree on that. But Bate looked as good as he ever looks. I didn't need to be impressed by Bate during this match. I was impressed beforehand. But he hits that Peter Pan, we call it, springboard off the ropes into a clothesline. I think he gets a near fall off of that. But then he picks him up into this fireman's carry helicopter that he does for fucking ever in one direction and then again for fucking ever in the other direction. He teases that his back's so bad he's going to drop him, but then picks him back up again and then ends up setting him down anyway. And he doesn't follow through with any power move or anything off of this. It was a little cheesy because he's supposed to have a bad back at the end of this match. But then he ends up trying to go for the Tyler Driver 90 whatever. And
97.
When Mark Coffey and Wolfgang figure out that the match is over and they don't want a pinfall loss for Joe, they get in the ring and interfere, and there you go.
Yeah. So I think that's what really aggravated me too, is the fact that at least with the Sid Scala match, there probably would have been some finality to it.
Yeah.
Versus like a match that just got thrown out as a no contest, especially since there was so much hype already going around it because. Like I said, everybody was really rooting for Sid to win. What was your standing on this match in general?
Well, again, it was just to develop a 6-man person storyline at this point. We're going to see British Strong Style in action under the WWE banner for the second time now. It looks like against what I'm becoming to start calling the Dynasty, the Coffees and Wolfgang. And again, it was just another match. You had Tyler Bate, fast start, in control. The Dynasty comes out, and the Coffee regains control. And then you have Trent Seven come out, hype the crowd. Tyler Bate regains control. He picks up a couple near falls. He does a rolling Kappa kick, then attempts to tie a driver. What happens? DQ. Beat down. Pete Dunne comes out. British Strong Style versus the Dynasty. Most likely pre-NXT TakeOver.
I'd say that probably about 2 weeks. I would think.
Yeah, we're probably going to get this match before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
And if you don't even have the tag titles yet, when you figure about the tag team division outside of the Coffees and Mustache Mountain, I'm just thinking about the other NXT UK episodes at this point. There's only like maybe 3 other teams at this point.
And we get
they
to see
still need to develop it.
We get to see a couple more of those later in the evening, actually. But before then, we have Dan Maloney versus Ligero.
And who didn't know who was going to lose in this match?
Oh yeah, there was like.
But new talent, fresh. Dan Maloney, never seen him.
Weird haircut.
Let me tell you, weird haircut. His haircut says, "My mom cut my hair at home" in the front, and then like military buzz cut in the back. But his redeeming value here for me,
music.
Awesome entrance music.
Yes.
This metal as fuck entrance music. It was awesome. I was jamming to it, and then the match had to start, and I had to stop jamming to it. But I enjoyed it. Well, no, Ligero comes out to this kind of Spanish style heavy rock. It's got the traditional guitar.
It's got typical mariachi type stuff.
And I'm like, why didn't they just pay a little money and have El Nino do that properly? Because it kind of seems like a cheap version of El Nino, but whatever. Anyway, it was a semi-fun match. I mean, Ligero is usually pretty fun when he gets the upper hand and he's on top, but Maloney actually, I would say 60 or 70% was on top of this match, because like he was on top of this match in the heel way for most of the beginning of it, but it's like he was just underwhelming.
Like,
super underwhelming.
I was about to say, the match was kind of like not really forgettable for me. Maybe it's just the fact that I was still getting over the disappointment of the first match. But like we have Ligero pretty much not really showing anything new either. But it's one of those things where it's like if you stick with the classics, everybody's gonna enjoy the match. But I just still can't get invested with Ligero. I think it may have been the colors of his costume this time too. I didn't like the gold and white. He looked like some sort of like horned White Ranger from Power Rangers. It's just
well, Ligero wins. The one move he did that I really enjoyed. He goes to do a sliced bread off of the corner, but he throws this springboard off the top rope just to the right.
I called it sliced bread with butter.
Right. Yeah. And then he wins with his normal springboard DDT, which we're used to, and it was a semi-fun match there at the end. Yeah. With Ligero.
I was about to say it wasn't a squash in any way, shape, or form, and like introduced us to Dan Maloney, who we'll hopefully see more of.
No, hopefully we don't see any more of him. Unless he gets some good... he looked like he was tired or something. Like, everything he did was like at 60 or 70%.
Yeah.
60 for 70% speed. 60 to 70% power with your punch and your drop. Like, it just... He seemed like maybe it was his debut and he got no sleep last night. He was super tired and slow. What do you think about this match?
It was okay. It was really 50-50 booking. I already figured Ligero was going to win because his previous match, who he faced, Jordan Devlin. Jordan Devlin won. I mean, Joe Mahoney, he had the start for a little bit. There were some vicious slaps. And then after the attempted leg drop, it pretty much was Ligero all the way. And like you said, he did the Brian Kendrick variation move, sliced bread, springboard DDT, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So next we have it was a tag team match. At first I thought it was going to be a singles match, but Kenny Williams paired with Amir Jordan. And have we seen them as a tag team before, or just singles? Okay, so I think Kenny Williams sounds like a country singer's name. He looks nothing like a country singer though.
But he looks like something straight out of a video game, like you create a wrestler mode.
He does. Those heat glasses on, especially.
If you did a silhouette of him where it was all black, he would be the picture of a vacant spot in a match.
Yeah.
You know? So we get them versus the debuting of the tag team of Zach Gibson and James Drake. And who didn't know who was going to win this match?
Oh, yeah, I was about to say that was evident from the get-go, but as I mentioned on one of the last NXT UK reviews we did, I started doing a little background on Zach Gibson and James Drake, and sure enough, they were 2 times Progress Tag Team Champions. So the fact that we're actually seeing a tag team on here that's established to some, but not established to others, a consignment tag team, more or less. Because I'm trying to actually pass that along to consignment superstars, because there are a lot of them have been wrestling for about a decade, maybe 15 years or whatnot, and they're still brand new. And they're still brand new to us, but for somebody that's been following their career, they've been around for years upon years and been everywhere. So that's the case with James Drake and Zach Gibson. They've actually been each wrestling, I think, about 9 years or so, and they've actually known each other for even longer than that.
Well, my first notes on this match are about the crowd, because immediately they take off their shoes.
The crowd hates them.
If you hate Gibson, shoes off.
Yes.
And then if you hate Gibson, stand up.
Yeah.
And everybody's standing. And then, because they get tired, they want to sit. If you hate Gibson, sit down. And that's when everybody sits down. And the crowd, like I say every week, they hate Zach Gibson for who he is.
Yes.
Not his character. Not just
the person.
Well, not just his character, not just the person, not just everything they see on. They hate him for who he is. It's like he was Elias and came out and did the Supersonics joke on the crowd, and it's just carried with him for his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
They boo him from start to finish. Actually, in this match, I guess you throw James Drake in there, and They really didn't boo this match as much as they would a normal one, but they did have the chants, and the chants were fun.
Yes. They're actually more distinguishable than the ones we used to get at the coin exchange. I actually understood what the crowd was chanting back and forth and whatnot, and the fact that the shoes were off and everything. It was just a great moment.
Well, this crowd was completely blackened.
Yes.
For every match, it was dark as hell. You could only see maybe 3 rows from the ringside, and but they were fun. This match was extremely meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Nothing special to write home about. Did you have any notes up till the end of this match of any of the moves? I think I remember one suplex.
I mean, besides the Bangera dancing, there really wasn't a lot until you get really to the finish. I mean, most of the time it was literally just Amir Jordan getting the crap beat out of him.
Yeah, ground and pound.
He went for the tag like twice and still couldn't do it because Zach Gibson and James Drake prevented it.
But,
and then you get
but that story leads up to the hot tag.
Yeah.
The hot tag's where it picks up. That's where I start making notes, and I made a hell of a lot of notes because Williams gets the hot tag, and he comes in like a fucking bat out of hell. He does this wheelbarrow roll-up into a face buster with a salute in the middle. And by this, it's like, I think it was Zach Gibson, had him in the wheelbarrow. Yeah. And he shoots up, does this salute, and then goes like he's going for a roll-up through the legs, but then brings Gibson down on his face for a near fall.
It's really quick, too. That's what I really like about those kind of moves.
Like, it's crazy. And then he goes, and then you've got both Williams and Drake on the outside, or not Williams and Drake, but Gibson and Drake on the outside.
Yeah.
And Williams does a double drop kick through the ropes, but then gets back in, and both him and Amir Jordan do suicide dives on the two of them on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they let a Mamma Mia chance.
This is okay. So that's where the Mamma Mia chants were. So this is where basically their moment on top ends. Then they get back in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess Williams goes to the top rope, goes for a top rope, high risk maneuver. High risk, no reward. James Drake knocks him off the top rope, and he gets the tag, and we get this finishing move that they called the Ticket to Ride.
Yes. Yeah. That it's a
assisted lung blower.
Yes, that's what
they called it, and that sounds like a very video game general description of the move. Assisted. Yeah. How did they assist? Okay. So James Drake picks up I guess this was Williams.
Yeah.
Like a tombstone pile driver. But then shoots him upwards, face up, and then that's where Gibson grabs him and does a front stabber.
Yes.
Instead of a back stabber, a front stabber. That's what I'm calling it. So I'm calling it a Undertaker style tombstone pile driver into a front stabber.
That's a mouthful right there.
Yeah. Well, they need to come up with an official name for it, but when you say assisted lung blower, like how was it assisted? This was very unique. And I enjoyed it.
I think I would actually.
It was a cool tag team move, but I kind of understand where you're coming from. They'll probably come up with a name at some point, but...
Well, was Ticket to Ride the official name, or is that a name of a move that's very similar?
I think that's probably the name of the move.
Okay, so there you go.
Similar, I believe.
But I would actually call it, true friends, especially since those two are actually buddies. Because I would call it true friends because there's that whole old adage, true friends stab you in the front.
Oh, nice.
So I think
That's clever.
I think clever. True Friends would actually be a cool name for that finisher.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Not a bad idea for the grizzled young vets as they call themselves.
Hopefully they watch and they'll pick up on that. Like
the butt.
Like yes. The butt. So Matt Riddle, if you're out there watching us, we really appreciate it, buddy. So this brings us into the main event, and this is the match we've been waiting for what, 4 weeks now since the tournament was 4 episodes, maybe 6.
Yep.
It's been a while since the tournament was announced, but we've been through 6 matches. And now we're down to Rhea Ripley versus Toni Storm. And we already know who's going to win this match. Did you know going in, Noah, who was going to win?
Unfortunately, I had a key feeling it was going to be Rhea Ripley. Toni Storm, she's got the crowd behind her. She's the hot take right now. But if you're going to build a rivalry, moreover, you're going to have the inaugural champ be the heel. I mean, look at Pete Dunne. Originally, the idea probably was Pete Dunne, but it led to that incredible match between Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate back at NXT Chicago, which I believe was match of the year. So while I didn't look at spoilers, I did pick Rhea to win.
Yeah.
So, like I said in the last video, I am falling in love with Rhea Ripley.
Yes.
Coming out to the ring. I guess they showed a side-by-side with Rhea Ripley on one side and Toni Storm on the other of them coming out to the ring. And I looked at him and I was like, one of those women look legit, and the other one looks like she's playing a character.
Yep.
And granted, I'm really appreciative that Toni Storm has stopped wearing that tiny top hat to the ring.
I always found that funny.
That only gets in the way when she's trying to get through the ropes, and it fucking jangles around anyway. Like, it was ridiculous. I'm glad she got rid of it. But she's still, with those awful glasses, like, she still looks like a character. Rhea Ripley looks like she's just there to kick someone's ass.
Yeah.
And her physical demeanor reflects that. So I am fully behind Rhea Ripley, and I'm glad she becomes the first ever inaugural champion. But before the match, like you mentioned, we actually had the GM of NXT UK.
Johnny Saint, yeah.
I was afraid I was going to say Johnny Ace again, so I was trying to lead you into saying his name.
Johnny Saint walks out with the belt, and I automatically am just thinking, it's like, he's not holding the belt right. Like you usually have, like, you see both sides of the belt, but you always saw, like, you know, the front part and one of the plates. I'm like,
one of the side plates.
It's like he's not holding it right. And you made the excuse, like, well, maybe it's buckled weirdly. I'm like, he's not holding the belt right.
Yeah, I think somebody set him up in the back. They misbuckled the belt. They're like, watch, he's going to carry it out there and it's going to look weird.
Someone's getting fired.
So anyway, the funnest part of this match to me, and I don't know if it was kayfabe or not, was Rhea Ripley making Toni Storm cry.
Yes.
Yes.
Because she comes off the apron like she's going to the outside to follow Toni Storm out. And as she's coming off the apron, she lands this kick to Toni Storm's back that I don't think Toni Storm was expecting. And there's a spot right after it, like she turns around and she's like mad. But then the camera cuts to a different angle and you can tell she's in a completely different spot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what did she say right there that they had to cut out? Because now she's sobbing, she's crying, like legit crying. And then they get back up on the apron and she goes to do a move on Rhea, and Rhea counters it into a backdrop onto the apron. But I noticed for all of this setup, Toni Storm's hair is down in her face. Like she is hiding her face. But she gets up, or she's down on the outside after this backdrop, and the ref gets out there, and she is legitimately crying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this was on purpose or not, because they did tell the story of her selling this back injury for the whole match.
Yes.
Except one part where she tries to land 3 Germans, the hat trick.
Yeah.
And maybe it played into that, because on the third one, Rhea Ripley actually counters with an elbow. But then she headbutts that bitch. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, because I love Rhea Ripley. She headbutts that awesome Rhea Ripley, smacking the head, and then she catches her with that third German. I think it was a near fall at that point. But for the rest of the match, they sold this hurt back really well.
Yep. So much so that she couldn't nail the Storm Zero, because she tried to go for that, and it just, her back tweaked on her. So that was towards the end, though, with the they had the multiple reversals going on and her nailing the riptide.
Well, you know, she's selling the pain, but at the same time, Rhea Ripley is trying to work the back at this point, because now she realizes there's a target here, and she does that, and we both love this move, that inverted 4-leaf or cloverleaf.
Yes. Yeah, modified cloverleaf.
I call it inverted because it's basically the same move, but she's on the other side, but it looks so much cooler.
It almost looks like an older, like a souped up version of the Walls of Jericho, back when Jericho used to do it back in the WCW days.
Yeah, but she does it inverted. Like, she causes the curve because of the way she's got the legs wrapped up. It's so cool. Because when you've got it on the regular way, the curve just comes through your legs.
Yeah.
This
Right.
way, oh, it's beautiful.
This went over her entire body. That was like
I was-
absolutely sucked.
I was about to say, it looks like it's extremely difficult to get out of, and that's what I think the whole point of it. But at the same time, it's a very innovative move. I love it to pieces.
Well, for the most of the majority of this match, it's just Rhea Ripley beating down Toni Storm, and especially her back. Other than the three Germans, Toni Storm gets this one spot where she does a seated enziguri into Rhea Ripley that puts her into the corner. And so she's seated in the corner, and then she does a running hip attack, and then does a running Meteora. I think at that point, Rhea Ripley was mostly turned around. So she does all of this, and she still only gets a near fall.
Yes.
But then, again, the back plays into the match. She goes for a Storm Zero, but she can't hit it because her back hurts. And that's where Ripley takes over. She counters. She takes it into a Riptide. And we've got a brand new inaugural NXT UK Women's Champion.
Yep. And from there, like, the whole... I want to say the whole tough girl persona just kind of, like, washed away for, like, maybe that 30, maybe 40 seconds. Because she was just overwhelmed. That's what I really noticed about the match, was the fact that first there's that surprise on her face, like, holy shit, I did it. and then, like, Triple H and Johnny Saint made their way out to the ring and presented her with the belt, and the rest of the women's division was on the stage applauding her, and it was just a really awesome moment, and there's a sense of vindication, I guess, that comes with it too, with her, her not winning the tournament or anything, but then she wins this tournament for something much more valuable, I think, than a trophy, and that's the first ever, like, NXT UK Women's Championship.
What do you think about the finish of this match, Noah?
I thought the finish was rather fitting because, again, they told the story with the back spot, kayfabe or not, and it literally ended with the finishers. I mean, chances are if she went for the Storm Zero with a good back, we probably would still have the match going. But I thought that it was fitting. I thought that afterwards it was a little interesting, the moment of silence from the crowd, like, whoa, it's done. But yeah, you're right. It totally was like, okay, baby, dead. She won. This is an emotional accomplishment. She's the inaugural NXT UK Women's Champion.
Yeah.
And going back to your point about this being more valuable than that trophy, they didn't even bring up the point about Toni Storm being the first ever winner or being the second annual Mae Young Classic winner.
They brought that up in the video package that they aired before the main event of last episode.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was necessary to bring that up here because it was more about the tournament and this being the finals and this being its own match.
Pretty much that was then, this is now kind of moment.
Right.
Because if you think about it, you also have a very, very different Rhea Ripley than you did probably in that tournament.
I fucking love Rhea Ripley. I am.
We've established this.
Her fan base needs a name because I want to be the first Riptider. I don't know.
Well, she's known as the Nightmare now of NXT UK. They're talking about who's gonna dethrone the Nightmare of NXT UK. So they'll probably come up with something dream based, I'm sure.
No, just the Rippers. I want to be the first Ripper, the Rhea Ripper. So that brings us to the end of the main event, and around these parts, we rate the main event with spots of NXT. And we do that out of a 5-spot system. So Noah, as our special guest, this main event, the finals of the NXT UK Women's Championship Tournament.
Yes.
What do you rate it?
Both women came in there. Both women told a story. Toni Storm sold the back. Rhea Ripley gained redemption. It was back and forth. The crowd was hot behind Toni. In the end, it was a good match. I give it 4 out of 5.
4 sounds reasonable.
Ditto. I think we are in a triple agreement here. Like before you said it, I was going to go with 4. It wasn't the best match. It wasn't near perfect or anything like that, but it was a really good match, almost great match. I mean, and it was off of a really good show.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great show. It wasn't necessarily all that great match, but it was a really good match. 4 stars seems absolutely perfect for that.
For the first ever women's championship, yes. Like granted, like it didn't, like we've just established with just our ratings alone, It didn't surpass the main event of last week with with Devlin and Dunn. That just wasn't going to happen. But they put on a hell of a show. They sold a great story, and now we have our first ever women's champion. And from there, the sky's really the limit.
We want you guys to be on the show, the NXT fans. We want you in this spot to come talk NXT UK with us. Come have a spot of NXT with us. And that's my fake teacup. Maybe we should bring back
Rose Ray's pinky.
I think we should get tea mugs.
Oh, tea mugs.
We can't really find teacups at like Walmart or anywhere, so maybe we should get some tea mugs.
That's a wonderful mug you have.
He's got a mug. We should have mugs.
Cindy had a mug.
Let me tell you, I went to Hot Topic on Black Friday. I didn't buy anything, but I looked, and they had some pretty... I almost got us a couple of tea mugs, but I didn't know which weird pop culture item you would want plastered on the side of your tea mug. So they didn't have anything wrestling either, so that didn't help. So
you probably can find like a custom site to print you like NXT UK logo type mug for you. That probably does.
Well, if we ever get a logo for NXT Party, then that would be the one to put on there. But other than that, yeah, come and DM me, find me on Twitter. You can go to nodq.com/Stefan, Stefan, or just go to Twitter, Stefan R. Osborne, Osborne. Hit up my DMs, let me know if you want to be on the show. Or if you don't have Twitter, leave a comment below and let me know how I can get a hold of you, and we can work out a schedule for you to be on the show. We've got an open spot for next week. This gentleman right here finally has a Twitter. What is that Twitter?
No DQ General, and that's me in the Twitterverse. And also I have a Facebook group, Armbar, all capital letters, ARMBAR, exclamation point. And you hopefully find us on there. And from what I gather, there's more than one Armbar group, but there's only one real one. Let's just be honest.
And now the special guest, the Professor Noah. Noah, what are your plugs?
If y'all want to follow me at Twitter, talk about wrestling, gaming, or just life, look me up at nfoster1916. Support NoDQ.com. Support your wrestling outlets, both big and small. And people, come on here and have some fun, and let's grow the wrestling community together. Simple as that.
There you go. Well, thank you for joining us for a cup of NXT. Join us next week we'll have What's NXT come out on Thursday, and we'll have another episode or two of NXT Party. God, I hope it's just one episode.
Oh, yes.
This was a great week, like I said, with 2 championship matches, one main event for each show. But please, God, I hope for 1 episode a week coming soon. But join us next week for our NXT Party then. Hopefully we'll have another member of the No DQ universe, Galaxy, sorry.
Yep.
The No DQ Galaxy. That is my bad. For the General, Jerry Slaughter, for the Professor, Noah Foster, and for the Wizard of No DQ, Stefan Osborne, thanks for having a cup of NXT with us.